It is time for us to get started with our meeting today. So I'm going to go ahead with the meeting beginning ritual now. 起立，面向佛堂，参加先鞠躬，一鞠躬，再鞠躬，三鞠躬，参加各位的传世一鞠躬。开班一鞠躬，请坐下。Please be seated. And Ed, we're all set and ready to go and looking forward to hearing your thoughts for the day or the week or whatever you like to say.
Okay, thank you, Derek. And I sent Derek a whatever you call it, an email, but I guess the communication through the board, saying that I'm afraid I've been remiss in my duties in creating a presentation for today, and that I'd be happy to share for a few moments if he feels that would be appropriate. So he said yes, so here I am. And if you will forgive me for just an extemporaneous series of observations. If it's not cohesive, I apologize, but it's kind of stream of consciousness today. It wasn't really because of my birthday, it was just more because of work, and I was going from 8 o'clock until 6 o'clock yesterday, and then kind of just hung around last night with my wife. So anyway, I was pondering what to speak about as I logged on to the meeting, and then I heard Derek talking about what, as I take it, the evangelist perspective when it comes to spreading the Tao, or I suppose that would apply in any context of any particular religious practice. And this is something that I've been actually encountering quite frequently over the past several weeks. As some of you know, I have been studying the religious path of my youth, which is Christianity, and in doing so have connected with pastors of 2 local churches, and one has been kind enough to take me through biblical teachings and explore them in more of a modern day context. And these are biblical scholars who he has a PhD in biblical studies, and the church is, I don't know if I would categorize it as fundamental, but it is very clear in its assertion that God's Word is taught through the Bible. And I've had the wonderful opportunity to sit down with some people and really look at the historical context in which the Bible was written and the meanings behind many of the historical events and the parables in which they're framed. And it continues to strike me how these correlate to the teachings of the Tao. And I was when Master William and the temple practitioners came over and they dedicated the shrine at our center, I was a bit concerned because they were, and we had masters visit from Taiwan who came over to the center, who, I kind of considered to be evangelical, and that they really were advocates of spreading the Tao and the initiation ceremony, and from the framework, the perspective of Yiquan Tao, the tradition itself. And I've encountered very similar perspectives when it comes to those who belong to the Christian faith. And the perspective of this path is the only path. And I personally have always had a bit of an issue with that. My spiritual perspective has personally been a bit more open-ended. My experience and understanding in my own practice and in my own observations, meditation, contemplation, has been that there is an energy that we are all a part of and that we have all emanated from and will eventually all go back to. And I can't possibly see how this energy, this universal consciousness, and I do believe it to be a consciousness, would favor one person over another, one practice over another, one tradition over another. Now, my friends in the biblical studies, particularly Jeff, said that we have to be careful not to, hey, there's my wife. I'm on with the Tao cultivators.
I apologize. We gotta be over there?
Yes, I'll be done in just a minute. So that's my wife. He said that we have to be cautious that we don't infuse our personal feelings about God into our perception of God, but actually look at what God is rather than what we hope it to be. I began to think about that a little bit. And God is kind of a loaded word. It typically brings an association of the guy with the white beard in the clouds and the associated punishment, the reward and punishment system that Derek was alluding to earlier. Now, who's to say? When we attribute human characteristics to this consciousness, it seems a little narrow in scope to me to attribute to that consciousness human characteristics. Yet, if we are a part of that consciousness, those characteristics come from somewhere. So perhaps that's a part of the scheme. Perhaps that is a part of that consciousness. Obviously, it seems as though it would be if we think logically about it. But is that all? That's where I think there's a bit of a narrow scope of perspective. In everyone's experience who I know, who has a personal direct experience of Tao, of God, of whatever it is that we call it, what I have experienced as a common theme among those who have had these moments of revelation, these moments of enlightenment, are that it's something that can't be encapsulated with words. It's something that can't be encapsulated even with feelings. And certainly can't be encapsulated as, I'm a good boy. If I'm a good boy, I get my cookie and I get to go to, the happy land. It's something more vast than that. And I think our perspective as humans may be somewhat limited, just as we encapsulated in our skin suits here are a bit limited in our perspective, so that we hope to elevate our consciousness through meditation, through conscious awareness and conscious contact with that which surrounds us, so that we eliminate the barriers, and this sense of duality which comes from the one can then be lifted so that we're back to this state of oneness. So when it comes to wishful thinking and open acceptance of this universal consciousness and thinking that there is no punishment. Perhaps if we view it as karma, which seems to be reasonable, that if we take a negative action, that there will be a negative result and a negative ramification which affects us. And that may not be in an immediate sense, but somewhere down the line, my experience has been that there's a slingshot effect, and it comes back. And is that in the form of being some place, some state of consciousness that is unpleasant, that's negative after this existence? I don't know. But is it feasible? I suppose. Personally, I'd prefer to default toward the positive, and not knowing if that's truth or not, I think I'd rather take my chances and make a positive choice simply because it yields a positive impact. And I derive benefit from that because it makes me feel good. When I do negative stuff, it makes me not feel so good. So in a very immediate and practical sense, I think it's rather obvious that in compassionate action, in empathy, in care for one another and for the environment in which we live, we can derive substantial benefit, both for ourselves and others. That's only logical. And it seems as though if we emanate from this source, then this source would be the means by which these directives are derived. And we grow toward the light. I remember Derek's talking about natural phenomena and how in nature all things grow upward. Yet at the same time, if we talk about the plant world, they grow downward to the earth for nourishment. But that doesn't necessarily mean hell. I think that means that we derive a source of nourishment. We're rooted in the earth and we grow upward toward the sun, toward that spiritual nourishment while maintaining our feet on the ground, I suppose might be an appropriate way to say it. So I think that's the end of my ramblings for today. I got to pick up my computer and my cookies here and head off to the school and have a meeting. But I hope some of that made sense and in the context of which we're talking. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll look forward to speaking to you. I think we're not meeting next week because of Memorial Day, but after that.
You are absolutely correct. We do have a weekend off that's coming up. And thank you very much for everything you said. I find myself nodding in agreement throughout the entire thing. And I agree with Tim's feedback just now that what you have said is very thought-provoking. And I also want to share my own recent experience delving more into Christian teachings. Last Sunday, I alluded to a series of sermons that I've been getting into. Is from a well-known pastor by the name of Andy Stanley, and he has a book. He has a series of videos, and the name of the book drew my attention. The name of the book is Ask It. Ask It. And that it is the one question that will shed light on so many other questions that we ask in life. So of course I had to get into it and take a look. So Andy Stanley, that name is pretty much spelled the way it sounds. So all the videos are free, and I find the message to be quite relevant. And you may be, for those of you who weren't listening last time, you may be wondering, well, what is it? What is that one question? that sheds light on all other questions or most other questions that you can ask. So I provided a shortcut last time. So, if you don't have the time to get into his sermons, I will tell you now, just as I did last Sunday, that what he said is that the better question to ask, when you are asking yourself, should I do this? Should I do that? What should I pick? What should I choose? Should I break up a relationship? Should I stay in it? Should I take on this job? Should I turn it down? Any of those questions. Ask another question first. Ask the better question, and that is, what is the wise thing for me to do? So there's a lot more to it than the simplistic phrasing of that question. So as an example, what that question entails, what is the wise thing for me to do, according to this Christian pastor, is that you can unpack it, you can expand it to say, in light of my past experiences, including my specific temptations, my specific shortcomings, in light of my current circumstances, and in light of my future hopes and dreams, what is the wise thing for me to do right now? So, contemplating that question will help you get to the right path, make the right decision, or bring in additional elements that can help you make the best possible decision. So, just a quick thing to share with everyone. Ed, I know you are extremely busy, and let me say that I think just like today, you don't necessarily always have to prepare a presentation because of how many responsibilities you currently have. It's a great burden. So let me suggest that occasionally, if you just if something occurs to you to share with a group, it doesn't necessarily need to be associated with a PowerPoint presentation. I think today's was just fine.
Well, thank you, Derek. I appreciate it.
Let's go ahead and do the meeting ending ritual, everybody. 起立，面向佛堂，持架三鞠躬，一鞠躬，再鞠躬，三鞠躬，持架规则是一鞠躬，接班一鞠躬。Okay, everybody, we are done.
Participate in the Tao meeting by joining us online. For information, go to taoism.net/Tao